What's good? What's going on, everyone, everywhere? Welcome back to another video, man. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out. All of the good stuff you do for everyone else, do it for your boy as well, alright? Now look here, man. I don't know what I'm about to call this joint, but I'm gonna let you know this is like icy hot explosions on God mode. You feel me? Like, this is crazy right here. It's a little combination of something I've been cooking up in my head for a minute. I've been telling my homeboys and whatnot about it, and now it is time to bring it to the people. If you don't know what I'm talking about, man, we pretty much got solar ignitions left and right on command. We got stasis, big explosions, big shatters going off like crazy. I got a whole bunch of different weapons that can fit along with this build, and the idea of solar explosions and stasis explosions just going off like crazy left and right, clearing out ads, doing mad damage to bosses, majors, and champions, and just being good all around. Okay, if you haven't already, man, make sure you like, subscribe, share the video out, man, because this is gonna be crazy. I'm telling you, it's gonna be crazy. You're doing GMs, you're doing some onslaught, you're doing just regular nightfall strikes or just regular strikes in general, playing some gambit. You want to do a dungeon, it don't matter. You want to do this in a raid, even the latest Salvation's Edge raid, outside the boss encounters, the regular encounters where you're just clearing ads and going through the different mechanics. This is a perfect build for it. Okay, now there's a lot of variants of this build, depending on the weapons and a couple of the armor mods, but we're gonna get all into that here in just a sec. Okay, so without further ado, let's look at it. So this build is going to be centered around the Hunter Exotic Cloak with the Spirit of Caliban. Now this is going to be crazy. I like to do it with the Spirit Coyote because then you pretty much have infinite ignition on command. Excuse the dog in the background. You already know. Everybody say what's up to Cyrus. Now, you could swap this out with something like Spirit of Caliban and Synthoceps. That's definitely going to increase your damage pretty substantially for your melee, but you just won't have your melee as often. Okay, so there is kind of caveats, trade-offs, depending on what you're able to get. I know some of these are very hard to get, so whatever you're able to get, once you got Spirit of Caliban, that's all that really matters. The second column is just more for the convenience and the quality of life of the build. Now, I'll definitely say Spirit Coyote, like I said, allows you to get the infinite, allows you to keep just going. I'll show you some gameplay and some onslaught in a partially of this video, and I'll do a full onslaught run in the next video with this build here, okay? And then, like I said before, Synthoceps just allow you to get that damage off, especially if you're doing like higher tier content. Synthoceps will probably be your better bet for it. Now, in terms of actual subclass, what we rocking, what we using, is Prismatic, of course. We are going to be using our Silence and Squall Stasis Super. That's probably be a part of our whole Stasis Shatter Explosion. It's going to be going crazy. We are going to be using Gambler's Dodge. Always get our melee back. Come on now. We got 2 dodges and a lot of melees going out there. Triple Jump, because I like triple jump. It feels the best. Threaded Spike is one of the better ones. You know, combination blow is nice if you're up close and personal. Threaded Spike is probably your best one and does kind of the most damage and the most ad clear within and of itself. Plus it severs enemies, so we're not taking that much damage. We are Hunter, we are a little fragile. Keep that in mind. We ain't no Titan now, and we ain't got healing like Warlock, so definitely keep that in mind. Threaded Spike is just an excellent choice to pick. If you don't have Synthoceps, Withering Blades are kind of low-key trash unless you're just trying to get Radiant procs. Snare Bomb's only really good in PvP like that, or PvE if you're trying to weaken and get Radiant at the same time. And Knife Trick is really only good on actually solar. But yeah. Other than that, Threaded Spike is going to be our way to go. Dustfield Grenade is the best out of these grenades. They're kind of not really good. Do keep in mind, if you pair Knife Trick with Swarm Grenade, you actually get enough solar ignition, solar scorch stacks to cause an ignition. But that's if pretty much almost all, besides like 2 or 3 of the Swarm Grenade hits, and all 3 of your knives hit the same enemy, the same one single enemy. So yeah, Dustfield Grenade is gonna be the way to go, especially going with the whole fantasy of stasis and solar explosions. Now to pair that stasis solar explosions, of course we got to get the stasis and solar aspects. Okay, now Gunpowder Gamble is going to be fantastic. It's a solar ignition explosion on command. Okay, replace our grenade. We're not going to be spamming this dust field out like that. And when we have it, we can chuck it, we can throw it, lock down a group of enemies, lock down a hallway, whatever the case may be. It's going to be good anyways. We're good to go there. Winter Shroud is going to be two-folded. Now, one, it does slow nearby enemies. So if you throw the grenade and then you do this Winter Shroud here, it kind of instantly freezes all the enemies in the Dust Field grenade. So that was good. So you can go ahead and cause a shadow right there. But you're also, because they are slowed, your class ability does get up a lot faster. And that is also going to be very, very critical. This is why we have the 2 dodges to kind of help this out, to always keep us up. And if you only have the 1 dodge to get your melee back, this is going to be fantastic as well, okay? Now, to pair alongside the whole build, the whole fantasy, of course, we got Fossil Protection, good damage resistance, it's good all around, good to help us out, etc. Facet of Dawn, come on, it's a staple. If you're on solo, you almost always take this and never take it off. On Prismatic, it's almost like that, but not quite. We're just going to have it so we can get a Radiant proc and also deal with the barrier champions for our weapons. Faucet of Hope, because we are getting rating off of the melee and we are spamming melees out left and right, so we're almost pretty much going to have this all the time. Faucet of Hope is going to be very, very nice, just so we're pairing it along with the Winter Shroud aspect to pretty much always have our dodge back. You'll see how lovely this actually works in the following gameplay. Now, Faucet of Devotion is going to be our kind of flex option, but I will say, just because we are doing so much of the strand melees that are chucking out there, per the stasis dust field and our stasis kind of dodge, plus our stasis super, it's going to be a lot of darkness energy damage being dealt. And our Transcendence bar doesn't quite like that, so we're going to kind of use Facet of Devotion, just kind of help mitigate that light transcendent energy to help us out there. Now, Faucet of Ruin is going to be very, very nice, not only increasing the size and damage of our Stasis Shatter, but also the size of our Solar Ignition as well. It's going to be very, very good. It's going to be very, very critical. And then, speaking of critical, Faucet of Blessing is going to be so critical. We're on Hunter, we're squishy. Everybody knows this. I even had a homeboy that quit the game because Hunter was so squishy. Faucet of Blessing has been the cherry on top, whipped cream with the sprinkles, the chocolate syrup, all that good stuff. You feel me? This has been it right here, getting us our health regen. It is not super amount. It's not gonna always sit here and save you, but I will say it has saved me countless times. I can almost rely on it for the most part, but there is some, little bits here and there that it hasn't been always the best thing to rely on. Okay, I was trying to get my words together. Well, yeah. So those are the fragments we're going to be running. In terms of armor mods, on the legs is where we're going to be kind of divvying up depending on our weapons, so keep that in mind. But in terms of our head mod, pretty much Harmonic Siphon for stasis weapons, Solo Siphon if we have solo weapons, pretty much. I like to rock both just because depending on how I'm feeling with this build, and I'll show you a lot of the different weapons that you can use with this build, you'll understand why. And of course, hands-on, because we are getting so many melee kills thanks to our class item, thanks to our Threaded Spike. It's just, come on, more super energy. In terms of our actual arms, you could go more heavy-handed mods. I would say 2 is probably your maximum. You really don't want to do it too much just because we are using our super quite a bit. I mean, not our super, our melee quite a bit. But we want to go ahead and still go into the whole thing of, oh, we need our dodge back to get our melee back. You feel me? So pretty much we're going to take that focusing strike. So when we do damage with our powered melee, our Threaded Spike, it's going to give us some energy back for our class ability, and it's going to be very, very good to keep us in that kind of forever loop, so to speak. Fastball is just a nice one. As you see, you're kind of going to be low on energy at that point. And fastball is going to be a very nice touch just to throw in the mix to get your dust field out further, especially if you're doing those strikes and night balls and whatnot. A lot of times you got to play at a distance, and this build is perfect for that. Come on now. It is a up close and personal, medium range, and at times long range build that just covers your bases pretty much. Now, in terms of your actual resistances, as you see, we're kind of rocking one of each. It depends on what type of content you're running. If you're not running anything in particular, anything too hard, I would say just keep one of each of the light elements, and you should be good to go. Now, in terms of actual legs. Now, legs is kind of tricky. It can come in a few different variants. I would definitely say keep Absolution. I would say keep Insulation, just so we always have the extra, 10% class ability cooldown each time we pick up Orb Power. Now, Recuperation, which gives that chunk of health when we pick up Orb Power, and Absolution, which gives all of our abilities, super included, a little bit more energy when we pick up Orb Power. These two are kind of interchangeable, similar to how you did the harmonic siphons up here. I would say you can definitely throw in a solo weapon surge, a stasis weapon surge, and keep that insulation if you already getting health from your weapons. Now, what do I mean? Similar to one of the weapons that would be perfect for this build, the Adhortative. I think it's like Adhortative. I think it's how you say it. Nonetheless, it has heal clip, okay? And you'll kind of see a running thing with something that can heal you or keep you alive. It's going to be very, very good, and is what we're going to be taking if we don't already have recuperation in the leg socket. Now, if you're doing something very, very hard, I would say like a Grandmaster Nightfall and whatnot, I would probably still keep recuperation, take out Insulation, take out Absolution, and put those weapon surge mods on and kind of go from there. Now, in our actual Hunter Cloak, you'll see that we do have utility kickstart, so we can get our dodge back even further, kind of use those charges for our dodge. It's going to be very, very nice. Just get that initial kick back. Mind you, our dodge comes back fairly quickly, but this just going to take it over the edge. We got distribution to give more energy to our dodge, nonetheless, as well as the rest of our abilities like our grenade. Then we have bomber just to be a little bit more on our grenade, because as you see, we're not really specking into our grenade too much more outside of our actual stats. Now, in terms of stat priority, you really want to go ahead and make sure you have resilience first and foremost, all the way up to 100, get the 30% damage reduction. Mobility will be number 2, just so we can stay on top of our dodges, so we can actually throw out our threaded spikes whenever we need to. And then discipline will be number 3, just so we do kind of stay on top of our dust field grenade when we are using it, and all that good stuff. After that, I'll really say if you at least have like around 20 to 30, no more than 40 intellect, you're gonna be at a sweet golden spot right here. You could technically spec more into recovery. Some of the sweet spots is 50 recovery, 80 recovery, or even 100 recovery if you're able to spec into it, and if you are not going with some of the more healing based natures as in the recuperation mod or heal clip or something like that. Okay, or even Vanguard's Benediction. Okay. Now, in terms of actual weapons, you see we have old, reliable, conditional finality, and keep in mind, for all my non-raiders, I have plenty of weapons here for you and different specters. If you're a new player, if you're a returning player, whatever the case may be, here's all the different variants that you could use in this top slot here, okay? Conditional finality is going to pretty much be the perfect synergy to match with this build. Stasis Explosion, Solar Explosion. That's literally what it does with the 2 shots, okay? So it's a perfect pick to pair with this. I honestly would pair it with either the Adhortative, Heal Clip Incandescence will be very, very nice. You can do something like Time Worn Wayfarer, playing at a distance, get that radio Lariat field going, Heal Clip Incandescent yet again. If you're doing more up close personal, you can get this Heliocentric sidearm. I do have another one with Heal Clip, but it's in my vault right now, so As you see, I got a lot of other weapons right now, so we don't need to worry about it. Pretty much demolitionist, incandescent, or heal clip incandescent will be what you're really going for there. For those who love the hand cannon, Xylos Bane, it fits more that whole like solar explosion kind of playstyle. And from an over-reliable Callus Minish tool, it's fantastic. Now, for those people who may not have a lot of these newer weapons, you can still get heliocentric, Time Away for, or even this grenade launcher here, the Wild Style. I did get new perks added to it. And keep in mind, I have it with incandescent, disorienting grenades. You could put like impulsive rounds or even spike grenades would be very, very nice. Even proximity would be okay. You just lose some damage out there. But I definitely would not necessarily get Envious Assassin. I would definitely try to go for that reconstruction role if you're going to be using something like Wild Style here, okay? You kind of can mix and match depending on what you're trying to do. I know Ariana's Vow did get a rework, but keep in mind the ignition that it causes. If you look here, it says breaking a matched shield or piercing a champion's barrier will cause the target to ignite. So this is only solar shield to work for. Do keep that in mind. I was kind of disappointed in that, so definitely keep that in mind. If you're going for more melee playstyle, you can definitely pull out that Ergo Summon with the perfect fifth. Now, keep in mind you want either a caster frame, a light frame, or even a wave frame for the Ergo Summon perfect fifth. Those are the ones, the three kind of frames that are going to be very, very good. Caster frame, I think, is number 1, with light frame being number 2. But yeah, they're very, very good. It's one of the best swords in the whole game, honestly. It's insane. And those who know Sunshot is Solar Explosions as is. It's just amazing. Player's Lance is still pretty decent. It's not as good as it once was, but it still is pretty good nonetheless. So those are a lot of the solo weapons you have options of, depending on what you have, what you're able to pair with or whatnot. You're kind of seeing a running theme. Incandescent, explosive rounds, and things of that nature is probably what you're going for. Heal clip if you can get it, especially if you don't want to use recuperation on your legs there. Now, I went over that and I kind of skipped over the stasis weapons for a reason. The stasis weapons are kind of dependent and situational. Now, some of the better ones will take advantage of like the Creeping Chill artifact mod. And what I mean by that is Wicked Implement will be perfect for, especially those GMs. It's going to be fantastic. Think of it like the stasis version of Incandescent. It's going to be amazing. You got Headstone already. You got the Tilted Harvest. So it's just amazing. I'm going to let you read this. Pretty much, if you get the shard, it refills the mag. It overflows the mag. The Headstone perk works fantastic. If you just get rapid hits with this, you start slowing your target and can even freeze the target. Think of this like the stasis version of Polaris Lance. So yeah, for comparison's sake. Even Ager's Scepter is very, very good just because it does freeze so many enemies. And if you read on the artifact perk here with the Creeping Chill, stasis weapon final blows against slowed or freezing targets release that burst that slow. So it's like the stasis incandescent yet again. Now, Verglass Curve can also freeze enemies, you know, if you kind of hit them directly with the stasis crystal itself. Speaking of stasis crystal, you have a lot of different options here. More ad clear, especially for the newer players. Bold Ace is fantastic. For some of my returning players, Disparity, especially even without the Hake Breach armaments, which will do more damage against the stasis crystals, is fantastic. Actually, it only requires one burst, so one trigger pull, to sit here and actually break the shard, the stasis crystal itself, with or without that extra mod origin trait on it. So that is fantastic. You're gonna be sitting here putting stasis crystals all over the place, really feeding into that whole, hey, stasis explosions, solar explosions kind of play style, kind of fantasy. Okay, this sidearm is very, very good as well. It's a stasis one, has headstone, feeding frenzy is very, very nice. I've used it a lot in onslaught and whatnot. Very, very good, and can pretty much do what this pulse rifle is doing at a distance, but very, very up close. The same can be said with all these three ones at the bottom. You have another sidearm if you want to do more headstone and kill clip. it's kind of still feeding the same thing. I personally still like this Adaptiverse here. It feels a bit nicer and more consistent to shit. But hey, if you want to go ahead and do the dungeon, this is in the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. If you do have this in SMG, sorry, I kind of tripped up my words there. Grave Robber and Headstone. Grave Robber is going to be very good, especially with that right hook origin trait. We are kind of melee focused in this build, so it's going to take advantage of it time and time again. Headstone is just nice to have. So stasis, explosions, yet again, it's kind of going to feed into it. Now this IS-1 is actually pretty good and was considered the god roll for many times over. And it's considered a god roll just because the Headstone perk, Peril Unrelenting, if you get multiple kills with Headstone, Unrelenting still procs off of that. So with that being said, you can kind of get like a pseudo healing, similar to how you have like heal clip down here. It's more like Vanguard's Benediction or Vindication than anything. But yeah, you kind of get the same Unrelenting here on the Calismania tool, so keep that in mind for comparison's sake. Now in terms of actual heavy, you see I have a lot of different exotic weapons. If you are able to get the last Wish Raids exotic, the Thousand Voices, it's pretty good. This is from Lightfall, so if you have that DLC, this is still pretty good to have a lot of stasis explosions kind of going all out through the battlefield as you're doing other things and meleeing and whatnot. If you just want a nice good chunk of damage, Parasite is going to be your go-to. It's one of the highest burst damage in the game. It's fantastic. To pair with that kind of solar explosion, yet again, Dragon's Breath is fantastic. Come on now. It literally just procs off of constant solar explosions and ignitions. Salvation Grip is going to be nice for the stasis. Yet again, feeding into that whole fantasy of it. And if you just need some damage, Cold Comfort, Apex Predator, very, very good. Gjallarhorn. Cold Comfort does come from the Ghost of the Deep dungeon, by the way. And Apex Predator is another Last Wish weapon. And also, I have this Cryomunity. You can buy this. It was a pinnacle weapon. And the perks on it, the Incandescent, it kind of gives that solar explosion. Keep in mind, Incandescent gives what? I think it's like 30-ish stacks per like kill. So pretty much get like 3-ish kind of kills around. 3-4 kills around. Hey, bam. You got another ignition. And the fact that we have Swashbuckler on and we are more melee focused anyways, it's going to be an additional 33.3 repeating percent. So that's going to be very, very good. Especially that it has Vanguard Benediction. Yeah, again, that is going to just help put kind of like the cherry on top, so to speak. It's not needed, but it's just very, very nice to have. And you kind of see the overall gist of this build. In terms of artifact mods, I've already kind of went over the Creeping Chill. You don't really need anything else, I would say, depending on what you are using. Logic Reductor is kind of good if you are using the Time Worn Wayfarer for the Radiolaria. Overcharge Armory is going to be pretty good if we are using that bold endings and whatnot. Even the Winning Hand, another bold endings weapon, and having that solar damage explosion is going to be very, very nice. Kind of triple procking different things all at once. Keep in mind, if you don't know already, Dragonfly, even with the artifact mod, will not break the Headstone crystal, so you still got to shoot 2 times to actually break this crystal here, as opposed to just 1 time with the pulse rifle here, even though this is like a hand cannon pulse rifle. But nonetheless, it is still pretty good, especially for a lot of ad clear. You'll do some solar explosion, stasis explosion with the Dragonfly, and then another stasis explosion with Headstone. So it's kind of like the initial explosion and then a delayed explosion if they want to try you again. It's very, very good nonetheless. And then in terms of the other mods, I would say Radiant Orbs is always a nice all-around thing to have. More Radiant. We should almost always have Radiant up thanks to our fragment here, the Faucet of Dawn. But hey, if you just really want to have, make sure you always have Radiant, then by all means have that. Galvanic Armor is just going to be more damage resistance on top of what we currently have. It is pretty good. We're almost never really going to do the whole amplified part. But for other builds and kind of tweaks that you could make, even putting like a rocket sidearm, the Indebted Kindness with Volt Shot on. Sometimes that paired with, if you were to take the Fossil Devotion out and put something like, where's that? No, it's not that one. It's the Faucet of, the same Metron, Faucet of Awakening. Then you can kind of get that whole amplified from the Ionic Trace and whatnot. Okay. Even though that's not how it technically should work, but it does work that way for some reason. Shield Crush and Transference are just nice to have. More melee damage, more melee recharging, and all that good stuff. It's going to be good to just have. And then Transference, more melee and grenade damage. Grenade damage you're not really going to see too much just because we are using Deathstroke Grenade. But the melee damage from Third Spectre allows to hit a lot more of those one-shots. Now, I am going to go ahead and sign up for an Onslaught. I'll go ahead and do a full 50. That video will be the next video here, since this video is already like 20-some minutes long. So stay tuned. Go ahead, click on the next video and all that good stuff. Like this video, comment, subscribe. Let me know any other builds or ideas for builds that you want to see. I do have a lot more coming up, so keep that in mind. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Put those post notification bell on. Set it to all, not personalized, so you do get notified when I do drop another video. Without further ado, peace and shalom. I'll see you in the next one.